sorry. You want the light or no light?
Oh, light. Yeah, light. Thank you. Oh, that's bright. I didn't know it's gonna be that bright. All right, you guys, come on in. Come on in. I'm just getting ready to get started. Just tagging people.
Watching the cloud, is that your song?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, I'm ready when you are.
Hey, Walter. Okay, give me 1 second.
You ready?
No, give me 1 second. I'm sorry. Hey, Sarah. Can you guys like and share the video for me, please? All right, I'm ready. Hey, Monica. How are you? All right, don't go anywhere, guys. We're getting ready to get started. All right, I'm ready when you are. Can you hear me, Dawn?
Yes, I can.
Okay, awesome.
You ready?
I'm ready.
All right.
All right.
The views expressed on this program are not those of intellectualradio.com, its subsidiaries, or sponsors. Encouraging, educating, and empowering you into action. This is Warriors Talk with your host, Lady Rochelle.
Hello. This is Lady Rochelle, author and founder of Warriors Talk, where we move away from awareness towards action. It is Testimonial Monday, and I'm so grateful that you decided to take this ride with me as we dive into our topic, Take Charge of Cancer. This is Intellectual Radio. We are live. There are so many ways that you can listen in. You can go to YouTube, you can go to Facebook, or you can go to Spreaker.com. The show is also sponsored by Allstate with Paula Kelly, located at 327 East Glenwood Lansing Road in Glenwood, Illinois. She could be reached at 708-758-3300. The show is also being sponsored by Emmanuel Church of God in Christ, located at 3058 West Van Buren in Chicago. And at Emmanuel, we are building upon a solid foundation. You can tune in at 5 o'clock and listen to Roman with the Drive at 5. Just keep it locked in at Intellectual Radio, where we are going to feed your brain. Thank you for tuning in on social media. If you are tuned in, hey Shiana, if you are tuned in, please like, share this video, invite others in on the video. We're going to be talking about taking charge of cancer today. I have a very special guest. Before we get started, I just wanted to talk about what happened on yesterday with Kobe Bryant and his daughter and the 7 other people that were a part of the helicopter accident. So I just want y'all to keep them in your prayers. I know that it was Kobe Bryant and his daughter. There was a husband, wife, and a daughter, as well as a mother and a daughter with the pilot and another female coach. So there were 9 people aboard the helicopter where it hit something and it blew up. So that just shows you that life is so precious. It's so precious, and it can be taken in a matter of moments. So please keep those individuals in your prayers, because I know that their grieving has just begun. Now, January is actually National Donor Month. So for those of you who have ever had a blood transfusion, then this particular month is for those individuals. we are looking for individuals to donate blood. I know I had 2 blood transfusions during my cancer journey, and individuals need blood not just for cancer, but they need it for surgeries, they need it for emergencies, they need it for things that where their bodies, where their hemoglobin is low. So the way I actually found out that I needed a blood transfusion is that my hemoglobin was low, but I didn't know what it was until I actually got admitted into the hospital. So I'm asking you to save a life and donate blood. It only takes 1 hour. All you have to do is go in. They're going to do your medical history, so what kind of issues you're having or have had in the past. They are going to do a mini physical to find out, are you even eligible to give blood? And then you give the blood. That takes about 10 minutes, and then they give you a snack to make sure you don't go and pass out anywhere. So if you are 17 years or older, you can donate blood. And you have to be at least 110 pounds and be in good physical condition. So if you're interested in giving blood, then contact the American Red Cross. And that number is one very special guest that's waiting for us to introduce her. She is a 4-year cancer survivor, and she quickly adapted to a healthier lifestyle after finding her own lump. She immediately immersed herself into finding out everything about her diagnosis, equipping herself with knowledge not just for herself, but for other individuals as well. An herbal school graduate, and she's also the founder of a cancer support group called Cancer Talk. She loves sharing her cancer journey, and she says her test is her testimony. So help me welcome to Warriors Talk, actually, Dawn Johnson. Hello, Dawn.
Hello.
Thank you
How are
so
you?
much. I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you.
Thank you so much for just your willingness to share your testimony. I know that sometimes it cannot be easy just having to continue to go over the details of what you went through. So thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you for the opportunity.
You're welcome. So on Warriors Talk, we're all about educating individuals on taking action for a healthier lifestyle. So if you're just tuning in, we are going to be talking about taking charge of cancer, and we have Dawn on the line. So Dawn, why don't you just go ahead and take us on your journey?
Okay, my journey started in 2015. I did find my own lump. I done a self-check. I was just laying on the couch one day, and I just decided, well, let me do a self-check. And I thought that I felt something little, and I just wasn't absolutely sure, but it was just a sense of urgency. Okay, something here is wrong. And it was like a whisper in my voice saying, okay, you need to go get that checked out and go like quick. So it was Breast Cancer Awareness Month in October, and I made an appointment to get a mammogram. I had my first mammogram when I was 39 because my mom, she passed away of cancer. It was colon cancer. So within that same year, I had a mammogram, and then also I had my first colon test. So I know that it was a while since I had my last check, but it was just a great urgency that I needed to go and make this appointment. So they got me in pretty quick, and maybe a week later, I'm not absolutely sure. I want to say that they seen something, and then I got a call back for me to have a biopsy. And by that time, it was the end of October, going into November, and I was diagnosed November the 5th with breast cancer. After the biopsy, they call you in. This is at the mammogram center. So me and my husband went, and they sat me down and told me I had breast cancer. And at that point, I didn't hear anything the lady said. But prior to that, I wasn't really, concerned. I didn't have, when me and my husband went, it wasn't that I was scared. We discussed the possibility of breast cancer, but I wasn't scared at all until that point when they said I had breast cancer. And I was in another like world, and my husband, he was so engaged. He was asking all the questions. I wasn't asking any questions. I just kept hearing that you had breast cancer. But however, it was so small. It was very, very little when the lady told me, and she told me, you know, the next steps about going, seeing an oncologist, and I done that. And from there, you know, by going to see the oncologist and also the radiation, they set me up also to have genetic testing done. And from my genetic testing, it was negative. And that let me know at that point that my cancer had nothing to do with my family history. Cancer runs up and down my family. As far as my grandma, my mom passed away of cancer, I have aunts and cousins. And that's when I went into mode where I had to take charge of and get down to the root cause of why I got cancer. So that's pretty much like the beginning part, you know. At first, like I said, I was a little bit uneased and everything. I was in another zone, but I still wasn't like. It's hard to explain sometimes. I just thank God. I thank God for so many things, and I'm glad that the cancer was caught at that early stage of stage 1, and all I had to have was a lumpectomy. But getting down to the root cause, that was like my number one mission. That I had to find out why and get into the root cause. It made me analyze myself. For 2015, it was very stressful. And the reason I say is, prior to me finding out that I had cancer, my mother-in-law, she was murdered in June of 2015. So with that, it took a toll on our family, and it was a lot of stress. And then also, I was borderline with high blood pressure. I was severely anemic. I lacked vitamin D, and I was dehydrated. My body was dehydrated where I wasn't drinking enough water. So on top of that, I wasn't getting enough rest. I had a business, a wedding business, where I was barely getting 2-3 hours a day at night time sleeping. So once I was diagnosed with cancer, and they said that your cancer had nothing to do with your family history, I got to the root cause of everything, and I just did a 360 and went straight into mode of my health. And during that time, you know, I started taking chemo after my surgery. That was in December. In January, I took chemo, and I had a nurse that was giving me my chemo, and she was an Asian lady, and she told me, if you don't want to get sick, this is what you need to do. And she gave me instructions on things to eat, and the main thing I was interested in was ginger. She said, if you make you a ginger, like tea or ginger water, you will not get sick. So I followed her instructions by the time my round 2 came. That was like 2 weeks after that. I made that ginger water. I drank it before chemo, like the night before, during chemo, and then after chemo. And I did that. I had 8 rounds of chemo. I did that every time it was time for chemo, and I did not once get sick at all. So after that point, when I didn't get sick at all, I didn't get nauseous, I still went into like health mode. It's like with the things, my blood pressure was still not at a good level with the doctors. So I was like thinking, how can I reverse these things? What are the things that I can do? You know, when you go out on the internet, you hear so many stories that's not good. You see a lot of things on Facebook that's not good. So that's why I say in my testimony that cancer is not a death sentence. For me, I went into like full mode with the things that I did, the things that I ate. I just did research. And then, you know, I try to give people advice when you go out on the internet. You got to be careful with the things that you research and look up, because some sites they'll have you dying, and I didn't want that for myself. I didn't want to leave my family, and it was a song that would play on the radio every time that I would get into the car. It was from Marvin Sapp, that you shall live and not die, and that was confirmation each and every time that I'm not going to die. You need to take control of this thing. And as time, you know, I told you I went into mode. I was drinking my ginger. I was eating right. And then also I started incorporating activity during the time I was taking chemo. The day when I would have my chemo, I would come home, get my rest, make sure I drink plenty of water. You have to drink plenty of water when you're taking chemo so the chemo can flush out of your system. So I done my rest. The next day, I was in the gym. If it was a pretty day, the next day, I will be walking outside. And that was like my routine for my 8 rounds. And in the course of my 8 rounds, which it was every 2 weeks, by that time it was May, and I dropped down 40 pounds. I just remember getting sick just one time, and that was when I went on my next journey. I think it was Taxol or something. I had to take Neulasta, which is a shot that they give you the day after you take chemo that help boost up your cells. And I just remember being in the bed with bad joint pains. But that was the only time that I ever got sick through my cancer journey, because I took control and nutrition. I didn't have no problems at all eating. I read that if you eat with plastic utensils, that will help you with that, the metal taste, and it helped. And then also, I recently read, because I read a whole lot, ginger. Ginger helps appetites. And by me drinking and incorporating ginger so much, that was the answer that I needed, because I never once had any problems with not eating. And I ate. It's what you eat when you're going through chemo. You want to eat as light as possible. And the light as possible for me was soups, some salads. I incorporated salmon. It was just a whole bunch of stuff. I cut it out. Sugar, I cut it out. Red meat. So my journey compared to others, I'm very thankful that it was a smooth one, because a lot of people that hear that may not go through cancer or may be beginning on their journey, they hear a lot of horror stories. But I can say mine wasn't. There's different sides to cancer. It's not always, bad sides. It is bad sides knowing that you got diagnosed, but that's where you have to take charge if you're able to, because so many people aren't able to, or they may not have the support. I had a great support within my family and my church that gave me the encouragement and inspired me that I can do this and I can beat cancer. So that's pretty much my story. There's so many pieces and layers to my story, but the number one thing is that I took action and I took control, and the end result for my journey, it was very smooth, and I give all praises to God, because and that was my time also that I got more closer to God, much more closer, and I talked to God and told him exactly what I needed as far as this cancer journey goes, because I needed to be here for my family. My family is so precious to me. And at the time I was 44, right now I'm 49. I'm young. And also having a good support system with your doctors is very good as well. And I can say that my oncologist, my radiation doctor, they gave me all the tools and information that I need. And because I was young and I didn't have like a lot of underlying conditions, which made the process even better. And also, I reversed high blood pressure. After I lost that weight, I reversed high blood pressure because my numbers, they weren't looking good. I never got on any type of medicine. I was borderline. But getting it under control, that was like my mission, to definitely do that. And I did it. I did so many things, especially the big accomplishment was weight. I didn't get a trainer. I did everything on my own. So I know that I'm a living testimony that it is possible for many people, to take, whether you have cancer or not. You just have to have a strong mind and be mindful of the things, that you eat and you drink. So that's my story.
That is an amazing story, Dawn. If you are just tuning in to Intellectual Radio, this is Warriors Talk, and we're talking to Dawn Johnson about taking charge of cancer. A cancer diagnosis can be a very scary thing. It can be overwhelming when you hear those words, you have cancer. And as Dawn said, when she heard those words, that was the only thing that she heard. Thank God that her husband was there with her, because he was able to get that information and then transfer it over to her. When you go to the doctor and you know that you're going to get some information from a test that you took, don't go by yourself. Take somebody with you so that you can have that support, that reassurance that if anything is said, that you're going to get that information. So I applaud your husband for being there with you, because sometimes husbands go and they sit out, in the waiting room. So I applaud him for
you're right.
going.
You're right. And he was wonderful. Like I said, a very good support system. He did have to work, but majority of the time he was there also with me for chemo as well. Or he was there for a short period of time, or he came on his lunch break and had to go back to work. But I thank God for him. My children, they were in school and everything. I have 3 children, but my husband, great support system. And then, but in the midst also with my husband, at that time still, we discuss it now, he had just lost his mom, she got killed. And then on top of that, you learn that your wife has cancer. But he's a strong man of God. He's also my pastor, as well as my husband. But he's very strong. And our church family, they were like really, really great as well, as far as checking on me and my neighbors and other family members. And it's very important to have that support system. And I'm just finding out, that some people don't have that kind of support. Or if they have it, they're silent, where they may not want others to help. It's all types of situations. But I can speak for me. It is very important to have that support, because sometimes you don't hear everything. And then the questions sometimes I might have questions, and then when I get there, I forgot to ask, because you go through chemo brain. But, my chemo brain wasn't as bad as others, because I researched where there's things that you can do to help. So I incorporated. You can't incorporate a whole lot of supplements, because you don't want anything to interfere with your treatment plan. But they allowed me to incorporate fish oil. So I encourage anybody that's going through cancer or even after cancer to incorporate fish oil, because the omegas, it really helps. And I used to eat salmon all the time. So as far as chemo brain, I didn't go through all of that. I kept active, like I said, within the gym. And then I like to do maybe crossword puzzles. I try to keep my brain constantly going as much as I can, because all the things I've read or things people told me, I just refused. I didn't want to be hospitalized. I try to keep my numbers as far as my blood counts were good all the time. They would go up and down, but they were to the point where I was never hospitalized, or, the fear that I can pick up an infection. So everything I did, I went hard, real hard, with everything that I read. And even when I was up against neuropathy, I researched that thing. Anything that I experienced, YouTube is the best thing. You go out there and you find the answers that you need. So, or your doctors. But with neuropathy, I ease my pain with magnesium. Magnesium is the best thing. I use the gel, or I used to take Epsom salt bath, because that has magnesium in there. So, like I said, anything that I was up against, anything I was feeling, somehow I would research it and get the answers. And by getting them answers, I got down to the root cause, and which it helped me. It helped me tremendously.
I think it's important to get down to the root cause of whatever we're going through, and not just take the information for face value. But what you did with the information that you received is you took it and you researched the stuff on your own to see what works best for you and your diagnosis. And we know that everybody's diagnosis is totally different.
Yeah.
And even the side effects that you go through may be totally different. But Dawn has given us some information that helped her diagnosis, her journey to run a little smoother. So if you can take anything away from her journey, use some of these tips and see if they work for you. I know with me, with ginger, I'm allergic to ginger, so it couldn't even work for me. So, you have to find other things that will work for you in your journey. And I guarantee you it's going to help you run a little smoother when you're trying to eat and with the metal taste in your mouth. A lot of people don't know to use plastic utensils versus the regular silverware.
They don't.
So it's just...
Yeah.
Go ahead, Dawn, I'm sorry.
You're absolutely right. And I know I have a friend that's going through cancer right now, and I had made her ginger water, but she couldn't tolerate it. It's the taste. It's a taste that you have to get used to. But last year in June, I went herbalist school. I am a herbalist. There's other courses that I plan to take to further my education, but it helped me where God, He created nature, and there's so many things in nature that, you know, if it's not the ginger, it's other things that could help, you know, help you as far as, you know, if you're feeling nauseous. It's just so many herbs out there. So, and within my studies, I found, you know, so many things other than that you can do to relieve this, but just be careful with a lot of these supplements and everything that's out there. I mean, if you lack, going through my journey, I lacked iron. I was extremely anemic. So that was my treatment plan, to make sure that I have iron. I lack vitamin D, and you know, I incorporated the vitamin D as well. And then the other supplements that I had was the fish oil. But anything else, you know, and I drank a lot of herbal teas. I like herbal teas. But, you know, that's my track. And what I may like, other people may not like. But at the end of the day, I can definitely say, you know, what God created that's from nature is good. God said it was good.
And we have to do your research and find out what works best for you. I would rather put the natural things in my body before I will the actual medicines. And I know that some people have to be on different types of medicine. And we're not saying don't take the medicine that the doctor prescribed, but find out what you can do naturally to help. And like Dawn said before, get to the root cause of the problem. When the majority of the time, if you get to the root cause of the problem, there will be no problem. So you gotta, instead of putting a Band-Aid on it, find out what the problem is. What we're gonna do is we're gonna go into a quick break. And if you're just tuning in, we're on Intellectual Radio. This is Warriors Talk. Our topic today is taking charge of cancer with our cancer survivor, Dawn Johnson. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to find out what kind of stress triggers that happens when you get a cancer diagnosis. All right, you guys, hold on. We are taking a quick break. We'll be right back. Hey, Dawn. Hey, Mama Joyce. Hey, Sarah. Hey, Nicole, thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate you guys for tuning in. Hey, Virgie. Can y'all make sure that y'all like and share this video? Invite somebody in on the video. Everybody knows somebody who has had a cancer diagnosis or who is dealing with a cancer diagnosis, and everybody wants to get more information to see what they can do to make their cancer diagnosis run a little smoother. Nobody wants to get sick. Nobody wants to be admitted into the hospital. And so Dawn is spitting some wisdom today. So I encourage you to invite somebody else in on this video. Share the video out so somebody else can get this information. We're going to come right back. We're just going to take a really quick break. So don't go anywhere. If you have any questions, you guys, you can go ahead and put them in the comments. Okay, give me 1 second. Back. This is Lady Rochelle with Warriors Talk, live on Intellectual Radio. And the second half of the show has been sponsored by Mary Kay with Gloria Dotson. She's catering to all of your beauty needs from head to toe. You can reach her at marykay.com/GDOTSON. And we're talking about taking charge of cancer. We have cancer survivor on the line, Dawn Johnson, and she is dropping some gems about how to take charge. Hey, Dawn.
Hello.
Thank you so much for, again, sharing your testimony. The information that you're giving out today is definitely helping me, because when you're going through a cancer diagnosis, you want to know the different things that you can do to make that journey run a little smoother.
Yes, definitely. Yes,
So-
definitely. Be your own advocate also. You know, I definitely, God places people in my lives all the time that are going through cancer, or they're a recent survivor. I'm friends with so many people, and people, they come to me and ask for advice. But definitely, you know, do your research, good research. I stress that. If you go online, get from good sources, because the internet will definitely have you, different sites will have you dead. You know, and it's scary. The unknown with cancer is scary, but it's not a death sentence. It's like, take control. You can take control and take charge, and managing and going, when you're going through treatment. You know, just say that you're suffering with diabetes or high blood pressure. It's best to get those things under control, because if you're going through cancer and then you're trying to manage diabetes, high blood pressure, or any other thing, you know, it's not good, because once you have one, you know, side effect or sickness from that, then, you know, your chemo hits. You know, for me, it was high blood pressure. My numbers, they were pretty high, and I was borderline, and, you know, the doctors, they talked about putting me on blood pressure, but I immediately took charge. I didn't want to have to go through chemo and then have to deal with blood pressure and being on blood pressure pills. So by me eating right, doing activity through my cancer journey, it started lowering my blood pressure. And by the time I finished with my treatment, my blood pressure was low. My recent checkup back in November, my blood pressure was like excellent, and it hadn't been that way in years. From my job, we have biometric screening, and every year I keep my records. I got like maybe about 7 years worth. And sometimes I'll just glance and just look at all my numbers. And my numbers, you can see them go up and down. But 2015, when I was diagnosed, was the highest that it has ever been. And to me, that could have been a heart attack or a stroke, how my numbers was. And then stress. Stress will take you out of here. And I have the opportunity to tell people all the time to manage your stress. And if you have anxiety, depression, try to manage that the best that you can, especially when you're going into a cancer journey. And for me, you know, when you're diagnosed with cancer, they prescribe you all these prescriptions, and within the prescriptions was pills for being sick. I didn't want to take them, so that's why I incorporated ginger. Then they give you pills, a prescription for anxiety. I said, no, the devil is a lie. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. It's a no-no. So my husband, anytime I needed to talk to him, besides him being a minister, he's also a good counselor. I would go, to him and talk, but also I would go to my Father in heaven and talk to him and tell him about all that. To come anytime, if I got to a point where my nerves was kind of a little bit unease, my faith, in God and my husband, that support system and everything. So that helped me along with the journey. But it's very important to get to the root cause of any of your issues, whether you have cancer or not. Because in the long run, it really helps. It really, and it brings back the new you, once you turn things around. I am a living witness that things can be reversed. I mean, I had, with two of my younger kids, I had diabetes. It was just gestational, but it was out of control where I had to take the stick my finger to test my sugar. I was on insulin the whole 9 months, and then it dropped off. But I remember that my last child, the doctor had said, if you don't get this under control, you could turn out to be a diabetic. I never did turn out to be a diabetic. It was just high blood pressure. So, it's very important also to go get, I know we haven't discussed this also, prevention. Prevention is the key. I found mine at stage 1. I was diagnosed stage 1. It was triple negative. And triple, if anybody doesn't know triple negative, it's very aggressive and fast growing. And I think that was the most scariest of anything through my whole journey, knowing that my cancer was fast growing. But once I had, in December 21st, when they cut cancer out, that's when I marked my day. Under my armpit, the lymph nodes, it was no spreading. So that was another plus that after that I considered, I go through my chemo. Chemo's going to kill everything. Then I had 33 rounds of radiation, and that cleans it up. And from there, after I finished everything, I still hit it hard. I'm still hitting it hard because I don't want cancer to come back. I don't want cancer to come back. And that's the mindset that I have. Whatever I have to do to not let cancer come back. Now, it's a possibility that cancer could come back. But I know if it came back, I'm going to hit it even harder. And that's just me. And that's who I am. I feel that I'm a strong warrior, a strong survivor. But what made my journey so sweet was getting down to the root cause of a lot of issues that I had. And that was high blood pressure, being anemic, lack vitamin D. When they check my numbers now, I don't have no signs of anything. No signs.
If you are just tuning in, this is Warriors Talk with Lady Rochelle. We are talking about taking charge of cancer with Dawn Johnson, cancer survivor. And she is talking about her faith in God and how she was able to get closer to God because of the cancer. She talked about getting to the root cause of cancer and how sometimes other things that you have, like high blood pressure or diabetes, sometimes those things can be highlighted because of a cancer and you can have more issues. But if you get those things under control, then your cancer, you won't have a hard time with cancer and the other cancer treatments. We talked about genetic testing, how she had to get the genetic testing at the beginning, and she said it came out negative. And the genetic testing lets you know if cancer runs in your family. And I know we had a comment online. One of them, I think it was Chanel. She said that she's still thinking about genetic testing because she's not sure about genetic testing. So we also talked about the support group, how your family and the people around you play an important role when it comes to your survival. So make sure that you have a good support group with your family as well as the doctors that you're going to be seeing as well. She also talked about the exercise regimen that she had to incorporate into her cancer treatment, as well as eating right. Certain things you can and you cannot eat when you are you're going through cancer treatment. You have to flush your system out with water. You have to find things to eat that's not going to make you nauseated, because you want to gain weight and maintain your weight when you're going through cancer treatment. So your eating habits are important. She also mentioned awareness and prevention. We very rarely talk about prevention. We always highlight awareness all the time. But the one thing you want to do is highlight prevention, because we don't want anybody to get a cancer diagnosis. So if we can push prevention, then that's the key. Prevention is the key. But Dawn had early detection, stage 1 triple negative breast cancer. And as she said, stage triple negative is an aggressive form of breast cancer. That cancer grows really fast, and it mostly hits African American women, and it hits us hard. And the doctors do not know why. They don't even have a set treatment regimen for triple negative. They just hit you with everything because they want to make sure that cancer does not come back. So I commend you for doing everything, for going above and beyond to make sure that you are, keeping that cancer away. So I'm sure that everybody that's listening have picked up some gems that you are dropping, so that they would know what to do when they get a cancer diagnosis, or help somebody else in their family that's going through. Are you able to give us some words of wisdom about someone taking charge of cancer?
You said words of wisdom?
Yes.
Yeah, I just want to at this time, just encourage anyone going to 2 Timothy 1:7. For God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and a sound mind. God has not given us fear. And I didn't have any fear. God made us beautiful. He made us wonderful. Cancer is not a death sentence. Prevention, but like I said, whether you have cancer or not, you have diabetes, prevention, doctors, God placed doctors here for a reason. I strongly do believe that. I'm not, as far as prescriptions, and I'm not into all that, but he placed doctors. And when the doctor says to you that you're this, and this, and you need to do this, do it. Definitely do it, because the end result could be cancer. For anybody, cancer cells lives within. That's one thing I did not know. It lives within everyone. And cancer cells, they need oxygen to breathe. You don't want to have cancer. You don't want to have to go through what many people, and I don't have all the answers for why I got cancer, or, children get cancer or anything. I don't know. Only God knows. But, just fight. If you do have cancer, someone, fight hard. Fight hard. And don't have a spirit of fear. God, just know that God got your back. If you're a Christian, just know that God has your back. And then your test, my test was my testimony. Cancer was my test. And then now I can give my testimony and share my story with others and mentor others. And I have a cancer support group here in my city. These are the things that I have purpose. I'm still here for a purpose. Anyone that's listening, you have a purpose also. And don't sit, definitely don't sit. If God brought you out of cancer or whatever, share to others so you can inspire and encourage others, because this is what the world needs. We're at a place that people need to hear encouragement, especially that you beat cancer, and you did this and you did that, and people need to hear that. Sometimes they may not want to hear the bad part of cancer. I would never share the bad part to anyone.
Thank you so much, Dawn. I appreciate you sharing your testimony, encouraging individuals to take action and to take charge. How can we get a hold of you or stay connected to you?
I'm just on social media. I don't have any websites. Dawn Johnson. I live in Winston-Salem. I do have a cancer support group. It's called Cancer Talk of Winston-Salem. Please join, like my page. Also, I'm starting a nonprofit, which is in dedication to my mom. She passed away of colon cancer when I was 22 as Humble Soul. But pretty much if you go to Dawn Johnson, look me up, Winston-Salem. And then I forgot, I do have a T-shirt company called Spiritually Made Apparel. And please go and like my page. And I started Spiritually Made Apparel after my diagnosis. My husband asked me one Christmas what I wanted. I said I wanted a heat press. I don't know why. I said I wanted a heat press. I want to do T-shirts. That heat press sat until after my treatment. And then after that, I was making cancer T-shirts.
Wow.
And doing other spiritual things. So you can find me on all those sites on Facebook or Instagram.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you.
You are so welcome. I'm going to give you Lady Rochelle's top 10 tips for taking charge of cancer. And the first one is to process your diagnosis. Before you can do anything or tell anybody, you have to process it yourself. The second one is to accept the diagnosis. And I know a lot of people will tell you, don't accept it, don't claim it, but not claiming it does not make the cancer go away. The third one is get the facts. What type of cancer is it? What stage? And what's the best treatment? And what is the percentage of survival? Number 4 is take action. Do follow-up appointments and find out if you need to get a second opinion or not. The 5th one is do your research. Get your family history and get information on what type of cancer you have. Number 6 is to ask for help and accept help. You're going to need the help, whether it be to cook meals, to pick somebody up, to take you to your appointments, or to have somebody there to listen to you to the appointments while you are there, but you're going to need some help. Number 7 is to get professional help. You need somebody that you can talk to because sometimes you're afraid to tell anybody else what you're going through, so get professional help. Number 8 is, which really should be number 1, is to pray and talk to God and get clarity on how you should move forward. Number 9 is what's your course of action to get rid of the cancer. And number 10 is to keep living. No matter what stage you are, keep thriving. So those are your top 10 tips for taking charge of cancer. And I appreciate you tuning in. Here are your words of wisdom to close out. The moment you give up, and these are actually by Kobe Bryant, you guys, since we dedicated the show to him. The moment you give up is the moment you let somebody else win. Join me next Monday at 6 p.m. right here on Intellectual Radio. Stay tuned for Talking with Tone at 7 p.m. And as always, thank you for tuning in to Warriors Talk with author and founder Lady Rochelle, where we are changing lives one warrior at a time.
Thank you for listening to this week's edition of Warriors